Welcome to the REMC 5 Moodle training videos. This first video is just going to show you the basics of how to get to your Moodle site and how to log in and make some basic changes to get ready to create your course. You're going to start by going to remc5.net, and when you get to the REMC 5 site, you're going to go to the main menu and click on Moodle, and this will take you to a list of schools, and you will click on your own school to get started with your course. Now you may have a link to Moodle already available from your own school's website that will take you to your own Moodle, so you might want to check that out. Once you get to Moodle, you'll go to the upper right hand corner and click on Login, and you'll enter in the username and password that has been provided for you. Once you get logged into Moodle, you're going to see a list of your courses, and so these will be courses that you are the instructor for. And this is the same for students. Any course that they're enrolled in as a student will be listed under My Courses, and they will click on the course that they want to enter into to work on. So as an instructor, as you get more courses, they will be listed here every time that you log in. So we'll click on the course that we want to work on, and there's just a few things you need to know to get started. First of all, this news form that you see in the top block it's there by default, and it's designed to be used as sort of an announcement area to be updated by you as the teacher. Now you may or may not choose to use that. If you choose not to, it's a little tricky to get rid of it. First thing you'll do anytime you want to make edits in Moodle is to go and turn editing on with that button in the upper right hand corner. When you do that, you're going to see a bunch of icons appear and then some drop down menus and things that you'll need to add your content. So next to the news form, you'll see that there is a series of icons for different things you can do with that, and one of them is an X. So anytime you see that X in Moodle, it means delete. But it's not enough to just delete that from here. We actually have to go into our course settings and make a change there as well. So we will go ahead and click the delete button for now, and it will look as if it's gone away after we click yes. But what we'll need to do then is go into our edit settings area, and this is in your settings block on the left. We'll click edit settings, and then there's a few things that we'll want to change here. The news forum piece will come down to here, and it says news items to show, and by default there's 5. We'll want to change that to 0, so that will make that go away. And I'm going to go ahead and click Save Changes, and then you'll notice that the news form still showed up even though I clicked the X. But now that I've set that to 0, I can click the X again and it will be gone for good. So yes, I want to delete that. Now let's go back into the edit settings area again, and we'll talk about the way your course is named. So when you get your course initially, it will be called maybe your last name or just something generic. So you can type in here whatever you want your course to be called. So let's say I'm doing a Moodle training course. I'm going to call this Moodle Training, and then the course short name is what's going to show up in this little breadcrumb trail that leads you around in Moodle. So right now it says Mrs. Hauk's homepage. I like to recommend that you put the word home or homepage in that short name, because it will let people know that this is the course's homepage. If they go all the way back out to home, they're back out to the entrance of Moodle where they see their list of courses again. But if you want to be working inside the one course, you'll want to go to the link that is for where the short name shows up. So I'm going to change this to just Moodle Training homepage. The other thing you may want to change is your format. So currently, by default, you'll have a topics format, and that's with the little sections that are designed to hold different types of content. The other option you might want to select is the weekly format. And this is if your course is very time driven based on what you'll be doing each week, and you want to add information that the students will need for a particular week, you may choose that option. I'm going to leave mine at topics format. And so then the course start date really doesn't matter, so I don't need to do anything with my start date. Now you may have anywhere from 5 to 10 topics as the number of topics displayed by default when you get your course, and you can always add to these or take away. I always recommend that you start with just a few topics, and then you can always add more later. You don't want to have a bunch of topics sitting there that are empty. So let's say that I have a pretty good sense that I have maybe 5 units in my course that I want to have topics for. So I'm going to set that at 5. Some of the other things on here we'll talk about guest access. Now this is if you want your course to be accessible without the need for a login. So if you do, you can go ahead and change this to yes. If you want your course to be accessible but with a password, you can go ahead and click yes and then type a password in that you want people to use. Or if you're generally using this with students and you want them to log in each time and you only want people with a username and password to be able to access your course, you'll want to leave that at guest access at no. We'll talk about groups in another video. Availability just refers to whether or not the students can actually see your course. By default, it will be set to be enabled, that the course is available. You can always go in and change that to that it's not available currently to students. Perhaps you want to work on your course and have the students enrolled, but you're not ready for them to see it yet. You would go ahead and make it not available and then go ahead and turn it back on to be available when you're ready for them to see it. We don't need to do anything with language. The student progress section, it will actually allow you to, if you enable that, students will see little check boxes by each item of content that you put in the course, and then they can themselves, just as a way to kind of keep track, they can put a checkbox in the boxes as they go along and complete things. I'm going to leave mine off because my course really isn't going to be designed that way. I'm not going to do anything with the role renaming, and I'm going to go ahead and save my changes. And so then what you'll notice different now on your screen is that the name of my course has changed. It is now called Moodle Training, and I've changed in my breadcrumb trail, my short name now is Moodle Training Homepage, and you'll notice I have a couple additional topics. Now if you remember, I selected 5 topics, but what you see on my screen here is actually 6. By default, you're going to have one at the top that's sort of the header for your course where you kind of can put maybe a nice banner or a picture and just some general information about your course before you get into the topics. So this is just the basics of getting in and doing some real initial setup for your course. In the next videos, we'll look at adding content and some of the specific features of Moodle.